Hey everybody, take 5, Mark chapter 6. This scene behind me, just a beautiful spot. It's at Cartuga J Baptist as I drive home. And actually years ago, was part of putting up this cross, and just an incredible place of just beauty, and a great place that I love to come and reflect sometimes. And I'm looking in Mark chapter 6 today, and in the times that we're in, we need those kind of moments, right, where we can just be still and know that He's God, that we can reflect on who He is. And the disciples find themselves in an interesting spot. Jesus has fed the 5,000, and in verse 45 of Mark 6, Scripture says that immediately He made His disciples get into the boat and go ahead of Him to the other side, to Bethsaida, while He Himself was sending the crowd away. Now they have been sent out by Jesus. Scripture says that He made them get in a boat and go to the other side. And I'm sure that they were comfortable right there in the presence of Jesus, and the blessing of this moment, and the feeding of the 5,000, and seeing the work that He's doing. But they leave what's comfortable at His command, right? And that's really what we are called to do as followers of Christ. And Scripture says that after bidding them farewell, He left for the mountain to pray. Wow, what a testimony to us of how important it is that we might find ourselves in a place like this, alone, maybe on a mountain somewhere with no one around, and calling on the name of the Lord, crying out to our Father, talking to Him, spending time in prayer. And I think about these disciples. They've been sent out on the boat, and while they are on this journey that Jesus is sending them to on the other side, I believe He is praying for them. And thanks be to God, Scripture says that Jesus is praying for you, and He's praying for me. It says, when it was evening and the boat was in the middle of the sea, and He was alone on the land, seeing them straining at the oars, for the wind was against them. About the fourth watch of the night, He came to them walking on the sea. Now, I want to point out just a couple of things. This journey that we are sent on as followers of Jesus is not always easy. Right? Scripture says that Jesus was looking at them, and they were straining because the wind was against them. And in the midst of that moment, in the midst of that difficult thing, Scripture says that Jesus came walking on the sea, right? The journey's not always easy. Here's Jesus walking on the sea, and Scripture says He intended to pass by them, but when they saw Him walking on the sea, they supposed it was a ghost, and they cried out, for they all saw Him and were terrified. But immediately He spoke with them and said to them, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." Now, in the midst of the wind coming, in the midst of all those things, the disciples were straining. They were afraid. We see in other places in the Scripture where the wind and the sea would be beating against the boat, and they were afraid because of the storms that were coming by. And in those moments, what we can see is the very thing that they could be afraid of, the very storms, the water, the waves, all those things are under His feet. And I just want to encourage us today, knowing that when the storms come and the waves crash in and all those things that are there, that whatever we're afraid of, whatever scares us, whatever can make us afraid, that those very things are under the feet of Jesus. Ephesians 1:22 says that He's put all things under His feet. And I just want to leave you with that thought today, just a short take 5, that we could remember that whatever is over our head is under His feet. Jesus looked at them and He said, "Take courage, it's I, do not be afraid." Then in the midst of a broken world, He said, "Listen, in this world you're going to have trouble." He said, "You're going to have tribulation, you're going to have hard times." But then He said, "But take courage, because I have overcome the world." What's over our head, man, a great reminder today, is under His feet. So remember, I hope this brings you some encouragement in the midst of this crazy time we're in. We love you.